Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well. The COVID's still going on. Obviously, at least in Arizona where I live, it's cases are going down. Everything's pretty much opened up. Still some social distancing with restaurants who have regular tables taken. Same thing with bars. They're spreading people out. And with what has been going on with this whole case with, in my opinion, the murder of George Floyd over the past week. It's just been crazy. And what I want to talk about today, and I did find this out, it's okay to do it. It's good we got footage of this. It's good we got footage, or somebody got footage, several people probably got footage. But what I want to stress today is no matter what, police, they are, I don't care what anybody says, they are above. No matter what anybody says or thinks, you gotta just realize that in the eyes of like the court system, the police departments, this country, they are just above the law. It is just such a crooked system in this country. I'm not sure how it works in other places in the world, but yeah, they are above the law. I've seen it happen. We have seen it happen time and time again. I mean, we're not blind. I think we could all agree on that we've seen it, and I don't care what it is. I mean, I haven't been pulled over for a number of 15 years now, knock on wood. But whenever I have another interaction with I don't like dealing with the police at all, even if I'm just like a witness. I mean, last time I dealt with the police was about 10 years ago. I was just witness to a car accident. It made me nervous as hell. Because I had like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different police officers asking me questions about this incident. It's like, why am I talking? I should just have to talk to one person. It's like, I almost kind of felt like they thought that I was making something up, like they were trying to catch me in a lie. It's like, why am I having to tell this story over and over again? It's really getting old. But whenever I deal with the police now, I don't care if I'm getting pulled over for just a speeding ticket. I don't care if I'm a witness to some, like, retail theft. I am recording the police because even me as a white man, I do not trust them, and neither should anybody. And it is so good. They will tell you, mark my words, a lot of them will tell you that you can't record them. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. That is bullshit. They don't like to be recorded because they don't like you having proof against them. They want to have it so it's, they want to have it so that they can, say whatever they want, do whatever they want. They want to be in the right. They want to have it so it's your word against theirs. But with you recording them, that kind of takes away that thing of your word against theirs. You have the proof. And what you can do is you can just say, hey, this is just for my protection. It's for your protection, and it is your freedom. And thank God now, before, it used to be before tape recorders, for camera phones, dash cams, other people, other witnesses having all this technology. It used to always be that it was our word against theirs. Well, thank God now we have more power than we used to with today's technology. So I advise you, whenever you deal with the police, whether you're pulled over, whether you're just given a report, whether you're a bystander, you witness something, what happened in Minneapolis, you witness something like that going on, you record. Do not stop recording. Do not stop recording. They don't like to be recorded because they want to be able to do whatever they want, say whatever they want, and get away with it. Don't let them get away with it. And a lot of them will tell you that, you can't record me. Yes, you can. Don't back down from that. I found out one of my friends who I used to work with was a correctional officer. I asked him about that. I said, hey, is that, because I've seen it happen on YouTube videos where cops have told people it's illegal to record. What's the law on that? He says, oh no, Jeff, in all states, he's like, he said they don't like to be recorded. They don't like you having proof against them, having evidence. But he says, yeah, in all 50 states, you can record them. So there's nothing against that. And, I've seen it, the court system, unfortunately, they usually take the side of the police. It's really I've heard people say that, even with all this evidence, it's it's still kind of like your word against theirs. I've heard people, it's really hard. I mean, it does happen, But I've heard people say that, you can't trust the police, which is true. You can't sue the police. You can't win against the police. And it is true. It's really hard. Even with all this evidence, the court system tends to take their side. And I have seen it happen where, police officers, correctional officers, they have gotten in trouble. It's actually been proven that they've actually been convicted of these crimes. I have a feeling some of them may get into the police business because they know they're crooked, and this is just their way of attempting to try to get away with their corruption. I see that happen with a lot of attorneys, too, lawyers. It's like they feel like they know how to get away with things. They know what to say in court, what not to say, what to do, what not to do. It's sick. It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick. Thank God that there is a God that is going to judge them. They can lie to themselves. They can lie to everybody else. God knows the truth, and God will be their judge. Thank God someday when they pass on and they have to decide whether they want to go into God's heavenly kingdom or not. I firmly believe that you have to ask for forgiveness of your sins in order to get over to God's heavenly kingdom. I think that you're kind of sort of like crossing a border. I think when you die, I think you're held off almost like in a holding cell, and I think you get seated. You get seated at the right hand of the Father or not. I firmly believe that you have to be show sorrow. You have to be beg for forgiveness for your sins, especially if you do something really wrong like that, murder. And that's just there's a lot of theories out there, not to get religious. That's my philosophy. That's my belief. I think God will save everybody, but I think before you're saved, I think you have to also save yourself in that respect. So yeah, I've seen it happen time and time again where cops get into trouble, correctional officers get into trouble, and it's like I mentioned before, like they're above the law. I've seen it happen where they've been convicted, where beyond a reasonable doubt, and it's really sick in a way, but a lot of times their buddies in the police department, their buddies in the jail will side with them. They protect their own, even when they shouldn't. I worked in a jail with this lieutenant, and he had a drinking problem. He was dating I worked in the medical department, and there was this one friend of mine who was a nurse. She had a drinking problem too, and two wrongs don't make a right. It takes two to tango. But what happened was, and it was after hours, they both worked like during the day. They both worked day shift. So it was after hours, and this nurse they were dating, they were in a relationship, and this nurse was at a bar first, and the lieutenant showed up. They were drinking, and they got into it. They were both drunk. I wasn't there, but I heard about what had happened from other witnesses. They got the lieutenant. He threw the first punch or a slap or whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but I think he shoved her. But anyways, he put his hands on her first. She defended herself. She wasn't going to just sit there and take his shit. And what I do believe that it sounded like she took it a little too far, but he got the worst end of the deal. Even though she was just defending herself, I think she should have stopped sooner, but she let him have it. Even though he didn't have any cut, I saw him the next day at work. He didn't have any cuts, any bruises, anything like that, any open wounds. So I don't really see what the big deal was, but it was after hours. They weren't at work. No police reports were made. And he started it. And, I do think that nurse took it a little too far, but hey, like Judge Judy said, you put your hands on somebody first and you get the worst end of the deal, fuck you, that's on you. You can't go all of a sudden start acting like a victim. But sure enough, this lieutenant did. And, he should have kept his mouth shut about it. But he went to work the next day and he told the sheriff about what happened. I'd be embarrassed to admit that I got my ass kicked by a girl, but oh well, it's just beside the point. But yeah, he got no cuts, no bruises, no open wounds, so she couldn't have hurt him that bad. So he tells the sheriff about what happened. He's lucky he didn't get fired too. To me, the way I see it, if I were the sheriff, he saw the nurse as being a security threat. Okay, Well, why don't you see the lieutenant as being a security threat? He started it. She was just defending herself. He got the worst end of the deal, you know? And you do something like that, you know, you tell your boss that you started a fight. I don't know if he lied, said she started the fight, but there were witnesses that worked with them, saw what happened, worked with me. But it was pretty stupid of him because in a situation like that, he's lucky he didn't get fired. Because if you admit that something like that happened, and if he would have gotten fired too, you can't pay your bills, who the fuck are you going to cry to? And, you know, to me, he should be ashamed of himself for messing with somebody else's livelihood like that. She got locked out. She showed up to work the next day, and she couldn't get into the building. Technically, she got fired because she was a civilian like I was. We were considered visitors. That was the one thing that scared me about working there. Even though I worked there for 10 years, and this is the way it worked at the other jail I worked at too. I worked at 2 jails for a span of 10 years, a few months. But even though I worked there for 10 years, because I was a civilian, I was considered, you know, just a visitor. I had to get searched every day before I went in there. Like, come on, this is getting kind of ridiculous. Sometimes it would be nice, like, oh, come on, Jeff, you've been working here for 10 years, just go through. I don't have time to scan you. Oh, thanks, you know. But I thought, and that was the other thing, too, with all these, you know, mass shootings going on. You know, the officers had guns, and I kind of got nervous about that. Like, what's to say, of course, you know, somebody that works there, I don't know, that would be on them, too, if they let them in with a gun, and they, you know, I think when they did transportation, went to court, they were allowed access to guns. But I think when they were inside the jail, they had to put their guns in a locker, a cabinet, something like that, some type of storage, locked. Yeah, I think they had to lock it up in a little compartment, kind of like a locker. But anyways, I kind of thought that was like discrimination in a way, because who's to say that one of these correctional officers they didn't search them, so who's to say that they're not going to get mad, come in there one day, shoot up the fucking place? You know, that kind of made me angry. That kind of made me nervous. It's like, you know, again, like they were above the law. Like they had more power than we did. And that was one thing that really made me nervous. I always felt like I had to toe a line. I always felt like, you know, because there were people that said the wrong thing, acted the wrong way, and bam, they got walked out of there, locked out. I felt that was kind of discrimination. That kind of made me nervous. So the second jail I worked at was like that too. You were just considered a visitor. You know, you could get walked out of there at any time without a reason. And, you know, they were, you know, there was one housekeeper, I think she had some back pain and she had bad knees, and she put her legs up onto another chair, like rested them, elevated them in the cafeteria. And there was a lieutenant that told her that you need to stop putting your legs up on another chair. If I catch you doing that again, I'm going to walk you out. And she's like, well, I got bad knees. I got a bad back. You know, my legs hurt. My knees hurt. And she's like, oh, you can tell that to the sheriff when you're walking out the door. It's like, my God, that's a big deal. What a fucking bitch. But anyways, it just goes back to what I was saying is that, you know, police, correctional officers, it's like they are above the law. And I saw it happen there so much. And they had like no feelings at all whatsoever. And, you know, I've never dealt with the court system, but from what I've seen, from what I've heard working at this jail for 10 years, pisses me off too. And, you know, the court system, I'm not sure what it's like to deal with it as a white person, but I do know that they do give lighter sentences. They're easier. A lot of these, you know, child molesters that were in the jail, they got such easy sentences. Such easy. You know, there was a woman that she, you know, if she would have done a hit and run, well, anyways, yeah, these child molesters, they got hardly any time at all. And they got out. It's been proven that they can't be rehabilitated. You know, that you just know that it's up in their brain. They're going to do it again. You know, I heard a story once about a child molester. He actually got his balls removed because he thought that would help him, stop him from molesting children. But it didn't matter. Even though he wasn't able to have sex, wasn't able to get an erection or have an orgasm, it was still up in his brain. He still ended up touching children. So it's really like a brain disease. You can't. It's been proven time and time, and that's why sex offender you have to register, because it's been proven scientifically that they can't be rehabilitated. So there's that. But all crimes, so, like there was one woman, she did a hit and run. Now, she would have not done a hit and run. This guy that she hit driving drunk probably would have lived, and she didn't really get that harsh a punishment at all. She should have been in prison for at least 5 years, I think, in my opinion. And they had some inmates in for minor crimes where they did work release, where they went to work during the day so they could keep their job, and they came back, they were incarcerated in the evening, overnight, bam, next day they went back to work. And they also had weekenders where they got done work on Friday, they'd come there, they'd spend Friday night there, Saturday, Sunday, and then I think either Sunday night or Monday, I think Monday morning they went back to work. So this woman hit a motorcyclist driving drunk. She did hit and run. She didn't call for help. She said she was scared. The guy died. That is manslaughter. She should have gotten 5 years in jail, prison minimum. Guess what? She only gets weekends for a year. Weekends for a year. And one of the weekends that she was in there, she smuggled drugs into the place. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. I would get, she just got a slap on the wrist after that. After she smuggled drugs in there and gave them to other inmates, I would have thrown the book at her after that. But from what I've heard, and I have seen minorities, African Americans and Hispanics, get much, much longer and harsher sentences for the same crime that a white person has done. And I've heard it said, if you are a minority, you're pretty much fucked, because the court system was not set up for you. At first I thought, maybe that's just kind of, frustration. Maybe that's just, talking out of your ass. But no, for the 10 years I worked at a jail, I saw it happen time and time again. African Americans, Hispanics, for the same crime, they got much longer time, much, much harsher sentences. So, yeah, it's bullshit. We really, in this country, we need reform in our justice system, our court system, the police departments. It is just there, and it's a shame because there are good cops out there, but there are a lot of bad apples that spoil it for the rest of them. I have met some good correctional officers. I have met some good cops. So it's a shame. I'm telling you, don't trust the police at all. I don't trust them any farther than I could throw any of them, even the women. Even me being a white man, I don't trust the cops either, even being a white person. It is so screwed up. And I feel bad, not trusting them, wanting to record them, but because I'm sure there are, some of them that are good. But hey, I got to take my precautions. You got to take your precautions too. I don't care who you are. I don't care how young or old you are, what race, if you're a woman, you got to protect yourself, please. Because if it goes to court, if you end up, being pointed, the finger's pointing to you, you're in the wrong, you need to be able to defend and protect yourself. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I am glad that officer, I forget his name, but that officer that, in my opinion, murdered George Floyd, I am definitely glad that he is getting charged, and I hope that he gets convicted. I hope he doesn't get a manslaughter on this. It was not the medical condition. George Floyd was suffering from a medical condition. That was not the medical condition that he died from. That cop, with his knee on his neck for 8.5 minutes, that cop fucking killed him. And I hope that he gets charged with first-degree murder, because he deserves it. I'm glad that he got fired, and I'm glad those other cops got fired. That is so ridiculous. And I'm glad that, the good people that recorded it, I'm glad that, I don't agree with the rioting, the looting, but the protesting, peaceful protesting, as long as you're not interfering with business, as long as you're not interfering with traffic, I applaud you. So let's keep it up, and let's hope there's a good outcome from this. And let's just try to keep it peaceful. No more violence, no more rioting, please. No more looting. Let's try to keep this peaceful. So hands up thumbs up to all of you that are doing the right thing the right way. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe from what's going on with the rioting, the looting. Be careful. and also still be safe from COVID. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all real soon with another great video. I love you all so much. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.